Let's talk about a little more micro-targeting with something called ad extensions. So targeting your customers with ad extensions. Now, an ad extension is by definition something that extends the reach of your ad. There are a number of different ones. A lot of them add data from different sources other than just AdWords, and we'll go into those. The great thing about ad extensions is, as a rule, the click-through rate rocks. It is significantly higher. Now, the downside is ad extensions don't always get served. You already need to have a decently performing campaign before most of these ad extensions become eligible to be served. So keep that in mind as we're looking at this. We're going to hit on 5 of them here. Sitelinks extension, location extension, which is a geographic extension, review extensions, call extensions, and app extensions. Okay, sitelink extension. This is the ability to get different pages in your site that get served up with the rest of the ad. So you have your 135 character ad there, and then you also will have other pages pop up underneath. With the sitelink extension, it only works if you're in the top 2 slots, and it's going to be the top 2 slots in the center, not the top 2 slots on the side. So if you're not performing well enough to get those top 2 slots in the center, your sitelink extensions won't go. Google will not automatically include every sitelink you add there. For most of our customers, we put between 8 and 10 sitelinks up there, and Google will show 4. And they'll choose the 4 they think are the most relevant to the key phrase that was entered in the search, as well as the language of the ad. So one of our customers was a e-commerce retailer that sold lab supplies and equipment and things like chemicals and test tubes and Bunsen burners and vacuum pumps, all kinds of exciting, thrilling, sexy stuff. And we had 10 site links. And Google would deliver the chemical database site link and the catalog site link for any ads that were for looking for chemicals. They deliver the vacuum pump homepage site link for any ads that were looking for pumps or tubing, etc. And Google would just kind of pick out the best ones. Those site link ads were having between a 12 and a 23% click-through rate. So they really rocked and rolled, but they didn't show up that often because you really had to be performing at a high level to get in those first 2 positions. And you can see here we got Walter and Lucy Artisanal Bakery for Dogs, which helped me out with that. But they have 4 different links that pop up here. Now, and those would change depending on what the search was. Location extension. This is where you've set up a Google Plus for Business page, and you've connected your Google Plus for Business page to your AdWords account, and then you turn on your locations extension, and it will feed in your information. Sometimes it feeds in your telephone number, sometimes it feeds in your hours of operation. And if you're a really good puppy, it can feed in reviews. Now, these reviews need to be on Google Plus, or they need to be on one of the accepted Google review sites. And those change on a regular basis, but Zagat's for restaurants, Formers for travel, Never Yelp. But if you notice, these reviews are popping up here. One's actually the text of the reviews. The results here are dazzling, no song or dance to go through. And the other one is a starred review. Those reviews are worth their weight in gold. This social proof of how good you are and how well your products perform really makes your click-through rock. So if you have reviews that are acceptable to Google, and those are generally going to be Google Plus generated reviews on your Google Plus page, they can be picked up and served as part of your AdWords campaign by turning on the reviews extension. If you're a local business, having the location extension tied in can do wonderful, great things. And generally on a mobile-based search, it'll include your telephone number and it'll include a link. If you click on it, it'll include a link to your Google Map page where you can get directions on how to get there. So bringing separate data sets into your AdWords campaign and really improving your effectiveness. And generally with any of these extensions, site links, reviews, location, Google, your conversion goes up with your click-through rate. So your conversion percentage goes up with your click-through rate. Call extension. Call extension is kind of a complex beast, but it is very, very useful. Very nice on the mobile, but it also can work on the desktop. If somebody clicks on it and you have it set up with a Google generated number, you can get an incredible level of detail on how long the call was, where it came from, how many rings it took to answer, all kinds of good things. If you're going through, if you have it just with your own number and you're not relying on Google to generate a trackable number, you can get some information, more if it's done on a cell phone, less if it's done on a computer. But generally, if somebody calls your business, how much more likely are they to be a customer? You can actually have a live person speaking with them and being very interactive. So anytime you do this, anytime you can put a call extension on, do it. Now, the one thing with call extension is never run them when your business is shut. It seems simple. Most people would get that out of the box, but I had one guy come up to me and was like, I don't want to do calls, they never perform. And I segmented out the data, and I said, well, they rock and roll when your office is open, but they kind of suck when they're closed. And all of a sudden, calls were his best friend. So never run call ads when the company's not open. It seems simplistic, but sometimes you need to say the simple stuff. Seller rating. Seller rating only takes place on AdWords Express, and I mention it because it's an extension and Google's done some advertising around it, but you don't have a whole lot of control if you set up an AdWords Express account via an AdWords account. AdWords Express is set up, and it's kind of an artifact of when Google started doing business pages on Google+. So think AdWords Express is really hand-holding. Google does all the work for you. You just pay them money, and the seller rating is part of that. So I mention it because somebody always brings it up if I don't, but for our purposes here, it's not really relevant to what we're looking at. The app extension, on the other hand, is you can set up an extension, and again, for phones or tablets, that will go directly to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and start the app purchase and download process right there. So I see a ad for MLB at bat, and I click it, and it takes me right to the page within the Apple Store, and it gives me the option to download it, or it takes me right to the page within the Google Play Store. If you're selling apps, or you're selling revenue-generating apps that might have ads or might have the ability to transact within, the app extension it really cuts down the conversion cycle on getting them installed, and it can really increase your installed base substantially. You need to have some brand awareness to take advantage of it, though. People need to know about your app before they start to click it on the phone. Okay. Okay, so how do you set up extensions? Go to the Add Extensions tab, and you can choose your extensions there. There's also one called Dynamic Search Extensions I'll come back to. And then once you set it up, you can go to this Add Extensions tab and get data just on those extensions and how well they performed. So here's an example of some Sitelinks extensions. Now this company had a traditional click-through rate of about 1.2%. They sold utility signs. So those signs you slapped on the side of transformers saying, please don't dig here without calling 611. That's the kind of stuff they made. Not a really sexy product. Not a real big market, but a product and a market. So their general click-through rate was about 1.2%. Look at their Sitelinks click-through rate. 6.8, 6.4, 6.5, I mean, really rocking and rolling. The cost per click was lower. The number of impressions was fairly low, but when somebody would click on one of these, we would get a 30% chance of actually getting them to request a quote. And to get a 30% conversion to quote rate was just amazing. And when somebody would actually request a quote from the Sitelinks, they had about a 10% chance of converting to a sale, and the sale was worth about $15,000 per sale. Whereas if they came in through the normal website, about a 15% chance conversion to quote, about a 5% chance quote to sale, and about an $8,000 average sale amount. So Sitelinks Extension is really rocking and rolling. You set up your Sitelinks extensions at a campaign and at an ad group level. It's easier to keep them at the campaign level. It's a little cleaner. You can have one Sitelinks extension and share it across multiple campaigns. It's not an either or. So you can see we have product catalog, request a custom quote on the bottom two campaigns, and the top campaign we have request a custom quote again. But again, we can set them up at the campaign level or the ad group level. Okay, location extensions. These are great for locally based businesses, and especially on brick and mortar businesses, but it also works for area service businesses. So this company sold, or still sells, granite countertops. And we had 3 location extensions, and they were really specifically geared towards the character of the people coming into the different locations they had. So they had a little storefront in Mountain View with a couple of examples of their tiles and granite. Over in San Leandro, they had a big old warehouse with slabs of stone. And then they had a remote office up in Walnut Creek. We had different Sitelinks targeted towards each one of those, our location extensions targeted towards each one of those locations. And some were designed to do store business, and some were designed to say, we have this huge broad selection at the warehouse. Do a custom quote before you get there and really make your time at the warehouse good. Again, they performed. And it wasn't out of the gate. It took some refinement, it took some testing, but over time they performed, and we saw an increase in sales and at a lesser price. Okay, the app extension we covered. Couple things to note on that. You can customize it by device. So if I have an iPhone 6 or a 6 Plus or a 5 or a 5S or a 4S, yada yada, or a Droid or a Razr, all the different devices out there, or a Galaxy, I can customize my app extension by device and take it to the right page on the App Store, but also displaying it right so it looks good on an iPhone 4 as well as an iPhone 6 Plus small tablet sort of thing. Very easy to do. You can also set up one campaign with links and extensions for iOS and Android, and Google's going to serve the right one based on the device you're looking at it on.